2 wins down in this postseason, 2 series wins to go. We have somehow, someway made it past both St. Louis and Minnesota thus far. That sets the stage for this matchup against the Anaheim Ducks. 44 wins in the regular season, 9 wins in their last 10 heading into the postseason. You often talk about the teams that are in form doing well. If that's anything to go off of, we could be in a little bit of trouble today. Of course, on the Eastern Conference side, Philadelphia and Washington, but we cannot worry about either of those teams at this moment. Now, the last episode, aside from, of course, the series happening, there was the topic of discussion as far as, whether or not I deserve a reward for winning the Stanley Cup. And Jagged Dice also put out I think it was Jagged Ice, not Jagged Dice. It could be Jagged Dice. The dice, they just have edges. Just sharp edges. But there was also the theory, and it was a really liked comment, and hopefully I remember to put it on screen, but of like, if you win a playoff series, you get the right to veto a trade. So right now we'd be allowed to veto 2 trades that, Milbury eventually gets. That is a really fun idea. I don't know. I'm intrigued to see what everyone thinks of that. I don't hate it. Obviously, then, of course, the question is like, what happens if Milbury is successful and, there's really no way to kind of counterbalance that? It would just be kind of a one-way street of me getting a reward of whether or not like a vetoed trade or an extra year worth of control, because there's no way for Milbury in a way to veto a trade. Obviously, if I send out a trade offer, that's just the way it is. I guess you could say like, okay, if you want to trade someone, you have to go through the trade finder instead of anything else. If Milbury wins a playoff series, we'd have to go through the trade finder. There's a couple of really interesting ways to do it. I think what we're going to do first, though, of course, is just wait and see how the playoffs play out. We do have 2 series wins in the books. We're obviously looking for a third here that would get us to the Stanley Cup Final, but let's wait until that happens, and then we'll take it from there. So this is, of course, the team that we ended up with in Game 7 against Minnesota. It's probably the team that I'm going to continue to use. I am admittedly pretty concerned about the penalty minutes, but there's not really a ton that we can do. I think I am going to leave the roster the same, though. Alex Fortin being in the lineup, David Kamp, Ryan Carpenter. Of course, we ended up sending down quite a few people, and of course, Dennis Gilbert was given an opportunity in Game 7, and thankfully, he did not make me regret it. Now, I think, again, Thomas Greiss gets the chance. I'm a little bit wary about starting him in Game 1 because of what happened last time he started in Game 1 in Round 2. But I think for now that is going to be the game plan. So again, it was, Evan Barrett, Thomas Nosek, these guys ended up being down in the AHL out of the lineup. They could find their way back in. Time will ultimately tell. With all that said, let's take a look at what we're up against. This Anaheim lineup. We always get a quick little peek at their lineup when we look to find another team's current line combinations. This is what we're up against. We have Max Jones, Sam Steele with a very impressive 13 points, and Jakob Silfverberg, Jakob Silfverberg. Good old Jake Silfverberg, 10 points in 10 games. Great hockey smile. Hopefully we can shut him down. Sonny Milano, Jesus, I didn't even notice, 18 points in 10 games. Danton Heinen with 11 points, and Ricard Raquel, who is absolutely crushing it. Third line of Max Comtois, Adam Henrique, and Troy Terry. Fourth line of Chris Kreider, Travis Zajac, and Michael Grabner. So obviously, that is a very good team. That second line has been dominant thus far. Defensively, it doesn't get much easier for us. It is Cam Fowler and Hampus Lindholm. Hampus. Shout out to my buddy Deke Slayer on Twitch and YouTube for that matter. Josh Mahura and Josh Manson, Radko Gudas, and a former friend of ours, Connor Murphy. The goaltender is John Gibson with Ernie Chipchura as the backup. Damn, so they have Gibson's replacement already, I suppose. Isaac Lundstrom, Adam Pelech, and Derek Brassard are the healthy scratches. So yeah, no, not really a wonder as to why they've done as well as they have. it actually has me concerned in terms of certain players, the penalty minutes, the setup. I'm just going back through the penalty minutes. I think we're going to be okay. I hope. Ryan Pulock needs to calm the hell down. We're just going to see if we can make the best of this. This team, the current setup, was good enough to beat Minnesota in Game 7 after a devastating loss in Game 6. Hopefully, they can start this series off on a strong note. Game 1, let's do this. I was going to look at the overalls. We'll do that before we head into Game 2, though. Let's see what happens. We are 4 wins away from the Stanley Cup Final, despite the fact that this team, it's taken some unexpected turns when it comes to team building, simply due to the Milbury presence, even though he's only had control for 1 season. First period of Game 1, what do we got? We have a scoreless first 20 minutes of play, 12 shots to 9. Not exactly ideal, but not devastating. Second period, that doesn't really help. Dylan Strome gets the first goal under 5 minutes in, 4:57, if you care to be exact. But from there, Josh Manson ties it, and Max Jones gives them the lead. 32 shots to 17, yet we are tied, or not tied, I wish, yet we are trailing. We were tied for a little bit before the Jones goal. Okay, we got this. I was going to say trailing, not tied. Different T words. Power play goes to waste. They have a power play of their own. They cannot capitalize on the abbreviated effort. We're halfway through Mark-Edouard Vlasic. Of all the people. Oh, Max Jones scores again. We can't let this game slip away from us. And Danton Heinen scores on the power play. Mark-Edouard Vlasic ties it. Heinen gets another empty netter. 5-2 is your final, because Thomas Greiss can just not show up in a first game of a series, apparently. John Gibson, phenomenal performance, which we know John Gibson is certainly capable of, but ultimately that was just not the performance that we needed to see. That third line was brutal. Kirby Dach was very poor in that game, and again, Thomas Greiss just not the effort we were looking for, and I don't know if he's going to start Game 2. We might go back to Corey Crawford here. I am not against making changes on the fly and giving different people opportunities. We do have a better offense. No surprise that they have better defense and better goaltending whatsoever. I mean, that is to be expected, really. So, as Philadelphia also took Game 1, it was a score of 3-2. So, looking here, let me take a look at the goaltending. And, I mean, Greiss has still been the better goalie. It's not that difficult to have been the better goaltender. We're going to give him a chance in Game 2. But, yeah, if he loses this next game, it's a problem. It's a real problem. Vlasic has been so bad, unfortunately. And it's not great, and I'm not a big fan of that current situation. But I really don't think there's that much I can do. I mean, you look at this team, and what really is there? What really is there to do, right? I mean, we can move Vlasic down. He's a -9. I mean, he did just score a goal, right? But it's like you look there, and it's like, okay, what are the odds that Milbury plays him next year? I have to hope basically he retires by the time I get control of the team back. It's a tough call. Damn it. I don't want to be overreactionary to the fact that we just lost that game, but I'm just scared. It's a real bad sign that this team, I mean, I know it's John Gibson, but it's a pretty bad sign that this team wasn't able to get more than the 2 goals that they did. Let's leave it for now. We'll see what happens in this second game, and hopefully we can walk away with the win. If not, then menu lag will stop me from simming it. If not, heading into Game 3, I mean, we're okay for the moment, but obviously if you lose Game 3, then it's a big-time problem. Like, if we lose here, and then Anaheim lose at home in Game 3, then it's like, okay, the home trend is a thing. We don't know for sure if that's the case, though. So here we go. First period of Game 2 after a lot of stalling and self-reflection. Oh, God. Oh, no. Ricard Raquel on the power play. Patrick Kane ties it. Kreider and Henrique score. 13 shots to 9 and 3-1 in their favor. You know, I'd like to say I'm surprised, but I'm really not. So, you know, what are you going to do? Second period, good God. Like, we battled back, but we're still down by 2. DeBrincat on the power play, 2 goals for Milano, 1 for Silfverberg. Pulock scores, Carpenter scores. Despite outshooting the Ducks 25-18, we're down 6-4 after 20 minutes of play. Absolutely horrific goaltending from Greiss. I don't understand why our coach hasn't pulled him. Odds are Corey Crawford is starting Game 3. I mean, obviously asking our offense to score 7 goals to win this, that's too much. Like, the defense and the goaltending needs to show up, and the fact is they just simply haven't. So there's not much we can do. Extended power play for the Ducks. They cannot capitalize, but it does not matter. 6-4 is your final in Game 2, and this has been arguably the worst start to this series that we could have possibly seen, especially from a defensive and goaltending standpoint. I mean, the Gilbert-Jones pairing just got ripped apart, and yeah, that's one of the worst goaltending displays I've ever seen. We allowed 11 goals in the first 2 games of a series. We are obviously not going to win under these circumstances. The good thing is Ian Mitchell is back, but we really do have to figure out what lineup. Alex Fortan's going to be out too because he's not 100%. We really do have to figure out what lineup is going to give me the best chance to win. And I like Dennis Gilbert a lot, but do I like him enough? 8 penalty minutes in 10 games. Do we take out Marc-Edouard Vlasic, I think is the question here. Not that Ian Mitchell was any better in the playoffs. Ian Mitchell was brutal. Absolutely brutal in this postseason run so far. Oh, God. I don't know what to do. Obviously, having Vlasic on the top pairing is a big part of the problem, but we kind of talked about the limited options. I think I'm going to drop him back down. We're going to go with Mata and Pulock, which, I mean, if I switch one to a DFD and one to an OFD, that'd be a good combination. I think we're going to stick with Gilbert and Jones. Let's go Vlasic, Jones, Gilbert, and Boqvist, even though Boqvist isn't a good fit there. So quickly, we are going to change Boqvist. I think we're going to change Boqvist, Mata, and Pulock's player types. I think. Ignore my keyboard smashing against my desk. You gotta love it. You don't, actually. I'm quite embarrassed. I'm gonna be honest, alright? I'm gonna be honest. Alright, at least I know how I want to set this defense up. Again, is this completely overreactionary? Maybe. But I think it can't really be argued that we need some sort of change on defense when we've allowed 11 goals in 2 games. Like, that's not just the goaltending's fault. Like, it's the defense as well. So right now it is absolutely worth throwing whatever we can at the wall to see what sticks, because we are in a lot of trouble right now. And I wouldn't be this overreactionary if it wasn't for the fact that Anaheim was on a really good run, heading into this postseason, and the fact that they've done well thus far. 10 games to get here. We had played 14. It's a problem that we have to adjust to, and that's exactly what we're looking to do. So again, when people in the comments were talking about, like, oh, this should happen if you win the cup, don't count your chickens before they hatch, guys. Don't do it. Don't do it, because it can be a problem. So I think Ian Mitchell, as much as I hate to say it, he's still going to sit out for this series because he's just been brutal. He has been arguably our worst defenseman. I mean, man, even Vlasic has points at this stage. So I think, again, we're going to go Pulock and Mata. That gets us a +5. Jones and Vlasic. And we'll be taking out Ian Mitchell. There is someone working outside, if you can hear that. Sorry for the noise. Gilbert and Boqvist. I like the looks of that, to be honest. I don't like Boqvist being on the third pairing, but what can you do? And then offensively, again, Alex Fortin is going to have to take a seat. And Whistle still been okay. I don't think anyone necessarily deserves to be pulled out of that bottom six, but Boone Jenner has been a massive disappointment. Obviously, this is NHL and AHL stats combined, but Boone Jenner has been a massive disappointment thus far. You know, just to check this really quickly, because sometimes you can get defensemen to play forward and have it work. Does Ian Mitchell work out on it? Okay, so see, Ian Mitchell's a fit on that fourth line. Interesting. We could... Oof. I mean, with his offensive stats, Ian Mitchell, I think, is going to get a shot at playing forward here. As insane as that is, when we do have Barrett, Moore, Nosek, Altai Barmakian, I'm going to give Ian Mitchell a chance offensively. Which, again, I admitted it, is absolutely insane, but it is what it is. So what we're going to do is I am going to put Kirby Dach on the third line because I've been rather unimpressed. And unfortunately with player type, though, I just don't think it's going to work. What if I do this? We're going to try this. As insane as this is, I think we're going to try this. It's going to be Kane, Strome, DeBrincat. Maybe. Kane, Taves, DeBrincat. Kubalik, Strome, Nylander, Jenner, Dach, Mitchell. And we're going to leave the fourth line the same. A lot of changes. I know. A lot of changes. A lot of line management before we even head into the third game of the series. Desperate times call for desperate measures, right? We now have a 98 rated offense, 89 defense, so we're trying like hell to make this work. So let's see what we can do. Game 3. If we win this, then it could just be the home team doesn't win trend. If we lose this, I don't know how to say this politely under YouTube guidelines, we're screwed. Screwed. First period, 1-0 Anaheim. Jakob Silfverberg with the goal. We outshot them 16-6. Damn you, Corey Crawford. Second period, scoreless. 24 shots to 14. We need a win here. Troy Terry scores. Oh, God. Power play chance goes to waste. Abbreviated power play for Anaheim. They can't capitalize either. We have another power play chance. We do score here. Kirby Dach. We needed that desperately. Desperately. Power play, power play, power play. Damn it. 6 minutes left. John Gibson, I think, is about to steal another game. 2-1. The final score. The defense held. The offense just could not find a way to beat John Gibson. Anaheim's 1 win away from the Stanley Cup Final. I think our luck has run out. Unfortunately, our luck has run out. Damn. All right. Here's the deal. When in doubt, go back to the team that got you to where you were. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So Fortin, Kampf, they'll be down. And we'll call up Evan Barrett and Thomas Nosek. And we'll also call up John Quinville, who will, of course, play on the fourth line over Ryan Carpenter. I don't have a ton of faith in this lineup because, of course, there's a reason why we changed it. But at this stage, again, desperate times call for desperate measures. So I think, again, I might just go with the best lines combo here. We might just do it that way. See what happens. Taves is a better center than Dach, isn't he? Yeah, and then Strome is also a better center. in terms of face-offs. We're going to give that a shot. And then defensively, obviously we have to change that top pairing at this point. They're both OFDs. But we can go with Mata and Pulock and know that that's a good boost. And then I think I'm going to have to change somebody's player type to not have it be a negative, because we just have too many offensive defensemen. So I'm going to have to change Boqvist and Mitchell to two-ways. But that's fine. That's easy enough to do. And that'll give me the time to figure out who the hell starts in goal. Because I don't know. I genuinely don't know who's going to start this next game. Is it going to be Crawford? Is it going to be Greiss? I don't think, of course, either are going to be back. It'd be cool if Boone Jenner could be traded right about now. Or if I could revoke that contract, because has that not worked out for me. Although in theory he is like prime trade bait for Milbury. Like, he's the perfect type of player that Milbury would love to trade away. So that is kind of the thought there, is that he'll be moved, if not by me, by Mike. So we shall see. Change Boqvist back over to a two-way. And we'll just take this one game at a time. That's all we can do, right? One game at a time to try and scratch and crawl our way back into this. Although, obviously, I am not holding my breath. But, again, this is essentially the team that got us to this point. Yeah, there isn't really a better boost there at all, so we'll just stick with that. The defense works. Crawford, 10 games. Greiss with 9. Thomas Greiss has been the better goaltender. He's gotten lit up by the Ducks thus far. Malcolm, it's just, I'm not even going to bother. Here we go. That quickly, the season's on the line. Perhaps some overreactionary changes to the lineup, but I refuse to believe that hurt our chances of winning. We still have a super talented team, and it's either the offense hasn't shown up or the goaltending hasn't shown up. It's, it just hasn't come together for us. But one game at a time, anything can happen. First period, 2-1 lead. Hampus Lindholm. Shorthanded goal from Taves. Marc-Edouard Vlasic scores again, his second goal of the playoffs. We're up 2-1. Second period, we're now up 3-1. Mackenzie Entwistle, 26 shots to 13, have them doubled up. We're up 3-1. Third period, here we go. We need to hold on here. Lord knows if we blow this 2-goal lead, it is over for us. No doubt about it. So let's see what's going to happen here in the final 6 minutes. It's looking good. I think we are okay. Seth Jones, the empty netter. And there we go. One game at a time. We beat Anaheim in Game 4. Obviously, our best game of the series. And we're not entirely done yet. So, very, very good. Great game from Seth Jones. Especially, in terms of the plus-minus, he was phenomenal. Dominic Kubalik was the only minus player on the team. We needed that one. Definitely needed that performance. Philly also up 3-1 on Washington. We're going to leave the team the same. It all comes down to chance at this point. Obviously, we're going to go with the team that's gotten results. Perhaps not surprising to some people that the team that's gotten the results has been the team that got us here. And yes, you read correctly. The Rockford Ice Hogs swept the Gulls. Of course, the battle between our AHL teams. Rockford's off to the Calder Cup Final despite their lineup changes, so see how much does chemistry really matter in terms of changing out personnel. We're looking good, at least on the AHL front. The future's bright, but here we go. Game 5, back on home ice, trying to keep this season alive. Here we go. First period, scoreless, 15 shots to 9. Second period, scoreless, 21 shots to 18. Crawford's back in as well because I forgot to switch it, so he's done well to this point. It's more on the offense for not showing up. We're trying to keep that dream alive of potentially earning another veto if you guys decide that's the best way to go. Again, I don't hate that idea of earning a trade veto for every playoff victory. So right now I'd have 2 trades, two opportunities to say, no, you're not trading Kirby Dach for a 3rd round pick, which would be incredibly helpful. All right, I've stalled long enough. 3rd period of Game 5. We need a win. The next goal could very well decide this series. And Jonathan Toews gets it. The captain makes it happen. Is that going to be enough? I doubt it. Evan Barrett called back up. He strikes here. Power play for Anaheim goes to waste. The Chicago Blackhawks have forced Game 6, winning 2 in a row, staving off elimination in both games. A 29-save shutout for Crawford, who I did not even mean to start, and that certainly complicates things for this next game. One game at a time. That's all we could say is one game at a time. We've outscored them 6-1 over the last 2 games. And now it leads to Game 6. Washington has also forced a 6th game. I don't know who should be starting this next game. Who do you go with? Who do you go with? Oh, it's so tough. Who do you get? It's gonna be Crawford. It's gonna be Corey Crawford. Scares me to death, but I don't really have the utmost confidence in either goalie. We're gonna ride the hot hand off the back of a shutout. Game 6. We have fought off elimination twice now. We're looking to do it for a 3rd time to force Game 7 back home in Chicago. Otherwise, this series ends. Not the overall series, but the series against Anaheim, of course. First period, advantage to the Ducks. Troy Terry and Sam Steele. Patrick Kane gets one back on the power play. But all in all, not too bad. I mean, obviously, I'd prefer to have the lead, but what are you going to do? I don't know what the hell they're doing out there, but it's very frustrating. We're just going to make the best of it, okay? We're going to make the best of it. Second period is scoreless, so now it's not on Crawford. I mean, yeah, allowing the 2 goals sucks. We only have 1 goal on John Gibson. We have 20 minutes to rectify that mistake, or this series is over with. Whoever the hell's banging outside, they're rooting for us. I'm rooting for us. Anaheim scores on the power play. Hampus Lindholm. We are hanging on by a thread, and I don't think that John Gibson is going to be able to be conquered here, unfortunately. So not only the frustration of losing the series, the frustration of whoever the hell's outside, but you know what? Damn. I was going to say making it to the conference final and losing in 6 games is nothing to hang your head over, but ultimately it's not what we wanted. We fell short of our goal of making it to the Stanley Cup Final. And unfortunately, a couple of times in that series, it's just the offense couldn't hold up their end of the bargain. That really is what it came down to. There were moments where if the offense showed up, we would have been good to go, and we just couldn't do it. Patrick Kane, just not enough. Obviously, you expect a player of Patrick Kane's caliber to be over point a game. I mean, Doc, Taves, Jones especially I'm happy with. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough. Dylan Strome was pretty disappointing. Boone Jenner was very disappointing. Kubalik was okay. And then obviously, it was just a revolving door of talent in the bottom 6. Defensively, Mata, Boqvist, Pulock, they just didn't hold up their end of the bargain too offensively for what they're capable of. So not only did we lose, not only is there someone banging around outside, but then I sneezed and everything's just falling apart. Now I'm sad and upset because we have lost control of this team. Mike is back in charge. Now, whether or not we have 2 trade vetoes, that's up to you guys. Let me know what you think. Do you like that rule officially? But one way or another, this team is now out of my control. Mike gets to deal with the consequences of some of my decisions when it comes to certain contracts, particularly, a certain forward re-signing. And obviously we're saying goodbye to the likes of Ole Mata and others, Mark Borowiecki. But ultimately, a good season, maybe even a great season. But it's a season where we fell short. Damn it. As always, you know the deal. Support the video, support the channel. It would be greatly appreciated. Check out everything in the description. And of course, a shout out to my patrons over on Patreon. I will catch you guys in the next one. What type of damage will Mike do?